The internet has changed the way society has been running for a few decades now. Since its discovery in the 50s, it has grown from a network only used by a few geniuses and military personnel to a daily necessity in the average American. To find out exactly how the internet has affected society, I asked several people a series of questions. Question 1. How often do you use the internet?
I use the internet probably a gajillion times a day.
Including Facebook, constantly.
All the time, like every day.
About maybe like 2 to 4 times a day, depending on how bored I am.
Well, not quite constantly, but every day.
I use the internet. I don't have an actual hour count, but it's like
Several times a day.
maybe more than 10 hours a day. Well, no. I'd say 5 hours. 5 hours.
At least a couple hours a day.
Question 2. What do you use the internet for?
For playing games, downloading music, downloading videos.
We were the first one to needle.
Stuff at work. You clock in on most systems. It's connected to Wi-Fi. Check weather on my cell phone constantly due to the fact I sell ice cream for a living. Weather's constantly important to me. Checking Facebook, emails, work stuff or orders, whatever. But I use it probably 10 to 20 times a day.
Well, I do a lot of. I use it for communications for one, like social networking, but also for research and just for information. It's incredible because I write and I do a lot of research, and it's just incredible to have pretty much all of the world's libraries at my fingertips, and whatever information that I'm looking for on my screen at the speed of light.
Facebook, Netflix, Hulu, Anime Freak, Guitar Tabs, YouTube if I don't know how to do something, and various facts.
News and politics and YouTube.
Netflix and HBO Go and apps and, on the Wii and all that stuff. And the Xbox, just looking something up on YouTube. When I practice my saxophone to get when I practice my repertoire.
Question 3. Does your current job or the job you want to do require internet use?
Yes, since I'm going to be a computer engineer, so obviously I'm going to be dealing with computers to design the parts.
Because I'm not sure on what job I want to do. Realistically, I want to be a businessman of some sort, maybe a CEO of a company or own my own store, but just something that has to do with business. And this is still sort of realistic because I'm really good at this, but slimmer chances. Playing the saxophone, I want to be a professional musician on top of that, and that does not require the internet. I mean, I'm sure there's some things I could do, like, email someone to get a gig and stay in contact with people over Facebook and using my phone also. So,
Does not require computer use at all. I guess in the office people use computers, but I'm just doing like manual labor, and we're still like 30 years behind in that. Like, I fill out a time card and I hand it to my boss and he signs it, and then I guess maybe they enter into a computer there, but it's pretty old-fashioned.
Yeah, it does. A lot of our wholesale food accounts all have to do with constant contact through to emails. Facebook's constant advertisement outlet for us. We also use, there's massive amounts of media websites based on services that you can expect from restaurants and the experiences you've had there. Everything involves a lot around the internet. From ordering product to shipping, everything.
The internet for my job all the time, because I have a lot of email correspondences with people, and like I said, I do research, and I use a lot of Wikipedia and Google searches and that kind of thing, as well as YouTube. I use YouTube as a reference source for videos, that I show my students, and yeah, I use it every single day, several times throughout the day, actually, for my profession, in different capacities, for communications, for a reference source and library of videos or information on an infinite number of topics. Sometimes I'll use the online translator to translate something from a different language and things like that. But yeah, I use it for my job all the time.
Question 4. Do you think the internet is necessary for most modern industries?
Yes, I think they are necessary for modern industry because computers are like one of the most modern things we have in our time.
Of course, to have media that available to anybody at any given moment at their fingertips and not to have to process over a dial line or anything else like that, of course it's absolutely necessary. It's the most fastest form of communication we have next to a phone call, and nobody has the time to make phone calls constantly running a business and to set up all the different things you got going on to relay back and forth. Yeah, of course it's totally 100% necessary. Modern America wouldn't be even half what it is if it wasn't for the media of the internet. Yeah, it wouldn't be anything like this.
Definitely. Because we use the internet for everything. Like, if the internet just dropped right now, the country would totally break down, and we'd probably get attacked by some other country because our internet was down. Because originally it was used for the military, and that's probably one of the main key things that keeps the military very strong and keeps the U.S. as one of the top militaries in the world. So, yes, I think it would be a terrible thing.
Computer use reduces the amount of employees needed because you could program a computer to do things while humans take energy and money.
Question 5. What are your opinions on piracy?
I don't mind piracy. It's perfectly normal. I'd say if you like the stuff, you should go out and buy their CD and support them. If you don't like their stuff, you don't have to keep the stuff.
You mean like people stealing stuff?
Like downloading stuff off the internet illegally.
I think there's no harm in that because, yeah, there is for the person who, maybe if it's like a huge thing, then it does hurt the person who made that music because they don't make as much money off of it. But there are a lot of people who do get stuff for free on the internet, but then again, there are a lot of people who are too lazy to do that or don't know about it, so they buy it. And there are a lot of people who are overprivileged and buy every album even if they don't even want it because they're followers, and there are a lot of followers in the world. So I think it's not that big of a deal.
I think like a kid who hears a song and he wants that song but does not want to spend money on it, I think that if he downloads it, he should not have to worry about any type of punishment. But the person who is like making all of those songs available should be like punished in some way, like maybe like fined however much that person made. That would make sense. But yeah.
My opinion on piracy, that's an interesting topic because it's like a new form of crime. Well, cybercrime is new, so they're still trying to get a handle on it. I think it's really pretty bizarre that it was only, 100 and something years ago, it was legal to enslave people, but now you can go to jail for illegally downloading movies. You know, you could literally kidnap someone and force them into servitude, and that was okie dokie. And now, yeah, you download too much stuff for free and you could go to jail. I think that's pretty bizarre. But I think that you know, I could understand, like, from if I had my intellectual properties stolen and somebody else make money off them instead of me, and I was the one that put in the hard work, I could understand being pretty pissed off about that, and wanting there to be laws and enforcement. At the same time, I think that it is a little bit of a Robin Hood type thing and a victimless crime because, I mean, usually the people who are affected by it are these giant monolithic corporations.
Hey Josh, what is your views on piracy?
No.
It's thievery, I guess, at its best, but it's all it is somebody trying to come up with a way to make money without doing any of their own work ever to begin with and just capitalizing off of somebody else's work, so it's retarded.
Question 6. What do you think about the Egyptian revolution and the government shutting down their internet?
It all started out because of the internet, so I've heard. And then, well, what's it called? With this outcry, then the government try and shut down the internet. And so it's basically just like a big feud over the internet, which stemmed from a deeper feud about like oppression. That's what I'm against, is the oppression and the taking away of the internet.
I don't know anything about it, but the government shouldn't be part of the internet.
What? Our presentation says 3 points.
They shouldn't control the internet. It's shutting down freedom of speech.
What's that, Vic?
Um,
Not all countries have freedom of speech, Gavin.
I know, but we're awesome.
Alright, Egypt, they try to ban the internet due to the fact that the government massively oppresses their people. They didn't want them to see what countries like America and all the free rights and liberal thinking the rest of the world has, and the amount of liberties and the lack of freedom that the country has is ridiculous, and they only did that to try to prevent them from further expanding, growing outside of their country, preventing trade. And actually, in some theories they are right, though. The fact that they're trying to prevent outsourcing things from trade and stuff like that keeps their economy so successful. That's why it's one of the oldest countries we have today. America's sourced out so many jobs and trading and stuff that we're so dependent on the rest of the world. It's totally screwed our economy. Where Egypt's trying to avoid that problem, but also at the same time they're doing it for a control factor of masses and repressing them.
Question 7. Do you think that the government should be able to shut off the internet?
Personally, I think the government, I think it's wrong of them to do it, but I do think they should be able to do it considering that they created it.
No, they shouldn't. They shouldn't control the internet. The internet is a place to post your opinions, and shouldn't it be controlled?
Is there ever a time where it'd be right to take away the internet? I mean, only if the people were as big a threat to the government as the government is to the people. But it's not. It's just tyrannical.
This project has given me a perspective on how the internet has changed society today in America. With the dawn of smartphones, internet has become available pretty much anywhere and to pretty much anyone. Most industries these days require internet to run properly or just for social advertisement. There has also been an uprising in crime such as piracy and copyright that are caused by the uprising of the internet. A lot of people take it very lightly while the government takes it very seriously. There have even been revolutions caused from the internet, such as the one in Egypt. This revolution even spread awareness to America despite the government's attempt to shut down the internet. After all, the internet is defined by the people as the freedom entitled to them, and that the surfing the web should never stop even in the face of the war.